I transmigrated. I ended up in one of those cliché romance novels about a runaway lover with a secret baby. The system's voice was ice cold. Host, please immediately execute the secret baby runaway plotline. Countdown, 1 hour. But here's the kicker. I'm a dude. I looked down at my flat stomach, then at my 8-pack abs. Run away with a baby? I couldn't even grow a food baby. Wait. My gaze drifted to the crib next to me, where a little tyke was blowing spit bubbles. That was the biological son of the ice-cold female CEO, Victoria Sterling, born just a month ago. Since I couldn't get pregnant, I'd just take the ready-made one. The logic was flawless. I shoved Victoria's black heart in my underwear, scooped the kid out of the stroller with one hand, and left a blood letter written in ketchup on the table. Victoria, since you don't love me, I'm taking your son. I'll raise him to call a thief his father and unplug your oxygen tank when you're old. Don't miss me. Your ex-husband. Packing was next. I grabbed the kid's formula, diapers, and tiny clothes, stuffing them all into a massive bag. Wait, where's the bag? I scanned the walk-in closet. Victoria's brand-new Hermes Birkin was sitting there pristine. Perfect. You're the diaper bag now. I also swiped a few gold bars from her jewelry box and stuffed them into my pockets, just for a rainy day. Finally, I took the infinite limit black card from her nightstand and carefully tucked it into the lining of my boxers. Warning. Alarm system triggered. Rapid footsteps echoed outside the villa. I threw the kid, let's call him Leo, over my shoulder like a sack of potatoes, grabbed the Hermes diaper bag, and sprinted to the window. Downstairs, 7 or 8 bodyguards in black suits had the villa surrounded. The leader, built like a grizzly bear, shouted, "Mr. Rivers, the madam has ordered that you remain indoors tonight." I took a deep breath and held the bubbling Leo high above my head like Simba. "Nobody move," I screamed at the top of my lungs. "Back off. Everyone back off, or I'll sing him the dubstep remix of Baby Shark." The bodyguards looked at each other, totally confused. One of the younger ones stammered, What remix?" "The one with the bass drop that shatters souls." "I won't just sing it. I'll put on loop. I'll raise him on pure EDM culture from infancy." The confusion on their faces turned to horror. Seizing the moment of their stupefaction, I charged through the gap. Before they could react, I had already broken through the encirclement, appearing outside the villa gates. I didn't look back as I flagged down a rideshare that smelled strongly of livestock. Actually, it was a truck transporting pigs. I tossed the kid and the Hermes bag into the truck bed and climbed in, finding a seat among a bunch of grunting porky pigs. The truck roared to life. I gave the brightly lit villa a dashing middle finger. "Goodbye, Mommy. Tonight we voyage." 30 minutes later, Victoria Sterling returned to the villa after her international conference. She was greeted by a deathly silence and an empty nursery, and of course the sweet and sour-smelling blood letter on the desk. She picked up the paper, her pupils contracting. When she saw the crude drawing of a pig's head by the signature, the vein on her forehead began to throb. A breeze blew through the window, flipping the paper over. A line of small, crooked text written in eyebrow pencil appeared. "By the way, I used that limited edition silk scarf in your closet as a diaper for the kid. Don't wash it, the smell is intense. Just throw it out." Victoria's vision went dark. "Jason, Rivers." A roar echoed through the clouds. The next second, the female CEO who dominated the business world fell straight backward. She had passed out from sheer rage. I was squatting with Leo in a prime location known as the Queen's Long Island border. The system notification finally chimed. Ding! Runaway with baby, plot point complete. New mission. Raise the cub independently until the next plot point triggers. I let out a sigh of relief and pulled out Victoria's black card, ready to find a 5-star hotel. "Boss, give me the presidential suite, the one with the river view." The receptionist smiled and took the card. 1 minute later, she handed it back. "Sir, I'm sorry. Your card has been frozen." I froze. Frozen? I looked at the black card in disbelief. It still smelled faintly of my sweat. "Victoria Sterling, you petty woman." I cursed at the sky. "You froze my card this fast? After I'm doing you the favor of babysitting?" In my arms, Leo seemed to sense my anger and let out a wail. I looked down, patted his back, and spoke solemnly. "Son, you see that? Your mom doesn't want us anymore. From now on, it's just you and me, facing the cruel world together." Leo cried louder. Clutching the gold bars in my pocket, I rented the cheapest studio apartment I could find in a gritty neighborhood. The room was pitifully small, 1 bed, 1 table, that's it. That night, Leo wouldn't stop crying. I tried everything, singing, storytelling, nothing worked. Finally, exhausted, I just put him next to me and pulled the covers over my head. Miraculously, after I fell asleep, he cried for 30 minutes, got tired, and fell asleep too. I had an epiphany. This was the legendary cry it out method. The cash on the gold bars ran out fast. Food became a major issue. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the system panel, lost in thought. Anti-trope system. As long as the host behavior defies logic, rewards will be granted. System. Got any quick ways to make money? Ding. Detected host is destitute, fitting the fallen runaway heroine setting. Reward skill. God-tier gourmet hot dog grilling. My eyes lit up. The next day, I used my last few dollars to set up a stall near a local elementary school. A beat-up tricycle, a grill, and a cardboard sign that read, "Soul-shattering hot dogs. Eat my weenie. Forget that meanie." Below was a line of small text, supervised by a CEO's biological son. Fake 1, compensate 10. Honest business. I strapped Leo to my back in a tattered woven basket, his little head poking out, looking around curiously. I did the shouting, he did the being cute. And let me tell you, this god-tier skill was no joke. The smell of grilled meat wafted down half the block. School was out, and kids swarmed over. "Mister, give me one. I want to." Business was booming. Just as I was swamped, a van marked sanitation enforcement pulled up. Several burly officers in uniform walked toward me. The other vendors scattered like birds. I didn't run. I calmly picked up a freshly grilled hot dog and handed it to the square-jawed leader. "Officer, long day, huh? Want a taste?" Square Jaw paused, then waved his hand. "We have regulations. Rules are dead. People are alive." I shoved the hot dog into his hand. "Officer, look at me. A single dad trying to raise a kid. His mom left us because I was too poor. She ran off with another guy. I'm just trying to earn some formula money with this small business." I spoke with deep emotion, squeezing out 2 crocodile tears. The officer looked at Leo in my basket, his gaze instantly softening. He sighed and pulled a $10 bill from his pocket. "All right then. Give me 3. I had successfully turned the enforcement officer into a customer. Meanwhile, on the top floor of the Sterling Group, Victoria's assistant was trembling as he reported, "Ms. Sterling, we still haven't found Mr. Rivers. It's like he evaporated." Victoria's face was frosty. "Dig 3 feet into the ground if you have to. Find that man." "Yes." The assistant turned to leave, but was called back. "Check the records on all my cards, especially the supplementary ones." Soon, a transaction record was pulled up. "Ms. Sterling, Mr. Rivers' card was used yesterday at a 5-star hotel in Queens, but since the card was frozen, the transaction failed." Victoria looked at the address on the screen, the corner of her mouth lifting in a cold arc. "Queens. Jason Rivers, you can't escape." Of course, I knew nothing about this. I was too busy dealing with local trouble because my business was too good. A guy with full-sleeve tattoos and 2 minions blocked my stall. "Hey kid, did you ask us before setting up shop here?" I looked at him, then at the minions behind him. Calmly, I unstrapped the basket and shoved the yawning Leo into Tattoo Guy's arms. "Bro, emergency. Hold the kid for a sec, my arms are numb." Tattoo Guy, caught off guard, froze as he held the soft little human. I'll grill you a dog, bro. Extra spicy, extra sauce." I turned around to grill, leaving the tough guy and his lackeys staring at the baby. Suddenly, Tattoo Guy felt a warmth spread across his midsection. He looked down. Leo was smiling sweetly at him while a warm stream trickled down the gangster's thigh. "What the hell?" "He peed," I shouted without looking up. "That's liquid gold. Good luck charm. Bro, congratulations. You're gonna be rich." Tattoo Guy looked at the innocent, smiling Leo, then at his soaked pants, and fell into deep contemplation. Should I still collect the protection fee? The next afternoon, I was grilling up a storm. Suddenly, the entire market went quiet. I looked up. A dozen black Bentleys were blocking the market entrance. Doors opened, and a swarm of bodyguards in black suits rushed out, clearing the area. "Make way! Make way!" The grandmas buying vegetables backed away in terror, thinking a mafia movie was being filmed. Then came the deafening roar from the sky. A helicopter hovered over the market. I squinted at the familiar, pretentious scene, my heart skipping a beat. "She's here." Surrounded by the men in black, a woman in a high-fashion trench coat and 4-inch stilettos walked across the muddy ground littered with vegetable leaves, heading straight for my stall. I had question marks all over my face. What was the helicopter for? "Lady, people act cool, but you really are extra." Victoria wore exquisite makeup, her expression colder than the Antarctic. Instead of panicking, I seized the opportunity and shouted to the gawking crowd. "Step right up. Take a look." Validated by a CEO, Quality you can trust. Last 10 dogs, buy now or miss out. Victoria stopped in front of my stall, looking down at me. I was brushing secret sauce onto a hot dog, not even looking up. Miss, you want spicy? Spicy is $2, non-spicy is $1.50. Victoria's chest heaved with anger. Jason, have you had enough? I finally looked up, feigning shock. Victoria, how did you find me? I touched my face. Is it because I'm too handsome? My good looks couldn't be hidden. Victoria ignored my snark, her gaze falling on the basket behind me. Leo seemed to recognize his mom. His lip quivered, and he started wailing. I expertly pulled a pacifier from my pocket and plugged it into his mouth, patting his back while muttering loud enough for everyone to hear. Don't cry, son. The bad lady wants to take us back to inherit a billion-dollar fortune, but we won't yield. My voice was perfectly pitched for the onlookers. Instantly, whispers erupted. Oh my, who is that woman? She looks fancy, but how could she be so cruel? Yeah, look at that guy. So handsome, raising a kid alone, selling hot dogs. It's heartbreaking. Abandoning her husband and child? That's unforgivable. Victoria's face went from pale to iron gray. She had probably never been pointed at by so many people in her life. The power of public opinion was cracking her composure. Come back with me. Gritting her teeth, she reached out to grab the child. I reacted instantly, dodging sideways and hugging a pillar at the fruit stand next door, taking the basket and Leo with me. I won't go back. I won't. The rich life is a cage. I want freedom. I want my hot dog stand. I cried, fake tears, almost believing my own performance. Unless, I changed my tone, holding up 2 greasy fingers. Unless you buy every single sausage I have left today. Otherwise, I'm not closing up. Victoria stared at me, eyes looking like they wanted to skin me alive. The neighborhood Annies started backing me up. Exactly. Buy the man's sausages before you leave. Don't be so heartless. Victoria closed her eyes, took a deep breath, seemingly using every ounce of her willpower to suppress the urge to commit murder. When she opened them again, she squeezed the words out through her teeth. I'll take every sausage you have. And everything anyone here wants to buy today, put on my tab. A bodyguard immediately stepped forward and started handing out cash. The market erupted in thunderous cheers. I looked at Victoria with a satisfied smirk of a plot well executed. She glared at me and turned to leave. 2 bodyguards stepped up, flanking me to escort me to the car. I was forcibly taken away. Before leaving, I didn't forget to wave to the aunties and uncles of the market. Neighbors, I shall return. The black Bentley drove smoothly back to the familiar villa. I was marched inside like a captured hero, head held high. The butler led the servants, standing tremblingly at the door. Madam, Mr. Rivers. Victoria waved her hand and walked straight to the living room sofa to sit down. I acted like I owned the place, releasing Leo from the basket and placing him on the soft carpet. Then I walked up to Victoria and held out my hand. What? She asked coldly. Payment. Those sausages earlier, 23 total, plus the freebies for the seniors. That's $500 flat. Cash or Venmo. Victoria laughed out of pure anger. Jason, you kidnapped my son, ran away for 3 days, just to sell $500 worth of hot dogs. I dropped the playful act and looked at her with profound depth. You don't understand. That's not just $500. That is a man's last shred of dignity. I paused, my voice dropping an octave. That $500 is the first child support payment I earned for my son with my own 2 hands. Boom. Mic drop. This was the highest realm of eating soft rice with a hard attitude. Victoria was clearly shaken by my words. She looked at me, complex emotions appearing in her eyes for the first time. He didn't take the child for money. He wanted to prove he could provide. He's using this to silently protest against me. He actually loves this child, and maybe loves me. Just then, the butler spoke cautiously. Madam, Mr. Ashcroft has been waiting for you in the parlor for a long time. As soon as the words fell, a man in a white casual suit walked out. He was handsome, but had a vaguely sinister, effeminate air about him. This was Victoria's white moonlight. Okay, actually just a male green tea, Julian Ashcroft. A total snake. Julian immediately flashed a gentle, worried smile at Victoria. Victoria, you're finally back. I was so worried. Then he turned to me, his eyes holding just the right amount of blame and forgiveness. Jason, you were just confused for a moment. Victoria won't blame you. Let me see, did the baby suffer? Before I could speak, the system in my brain shrieked. Ding! High concentration of green tea detected. Tea crusher skill automatically activated. I immediately got into character, clutching my chest and stumbling back 3 steps, looking pained. Whoa, the smell of tea is overwhelming. I pinched my nose, fanning the air dramatically. Victoria, are you growing tea leaves in here? I feel like the tea spirits have come alive. The smile on Julian's face stiffened. Victoria froneth. Julian, being a top-tier manipulator, quickly adjusted his expression, tried to pick up Leo from the floor. Leo, be a good boy. Let Uncle hold you. I darted forward, spreading my arms like a mother hen protecting her chick, blocking him. Don't touch him. Julian was startled by my reaction. Jason, what are you doing? I pointed at his perfectly manicured nails. You're a grown man with nails that long and sharp, coated in carcinogenic chemicals. You'll puncture my son's delicate skin and poison his young mind. Julian's face turned completely black. Ignoring him, I turned to the confused Victoria. Victoria, if you want to find him a stepdad, I won't object, but the candidate has to pass my inspection. I looked Julian up and down with a sneer. Want to be a stepdad? Fina, pass this test first. I bent down and pulled a heavy, complex-smelling object from the Hermes diaper bag. It was a freshly changed, still warm diaper. I walked up to Julian and, under his horrified gaze, whipped the diaper out. Slap! The yellow and white biological weapon plastered precisely onto Julian's expensive face. Here, wash the kid's diaper first, then we'll talk. The entire living room went dead silent. Everyone was petrified. Julian stood frozen, an unspeakable object hanging off his face, looking like he'd been struck by lightning. I looked provocatively at Victoria, waiting for her reaction. Would she tear me to pieces for her white moonlight, or would she stand by me? Victoria's expression seemed frozen. A few seconds later, she finally moved. She didn't look at me. Instead, she frowned at the fossilized Julian. Go wash your face. Her voice betrayed no emotion, but Julian acted like he'd received a royal pardon, scrambling toward the bathroom. I reveled in a victory. Round 1, Jason Rivers, winner. Dinner time was weird. The long table seated only the 3 of us. Julian had washed his face 8 times and sprayed half a bottle of cologne, but his eyes were murderous. He elegantly cut his top-grade Wagyu beef with a knife and fork, then looked at me with pity. Jason, you must not have eaten anything good these past few days. Look, you can barely use a knife and fork. He was mocking my lack of table manners. I chuckled, picked up my entire steak with chopsticks, and shoved it into my mouth, juice splattering everywhere. This is called eating big meat and drinking big wine. A man's true nature. I mumbled through a mouthful. You cut it so tiny. Got bad teeth? Or is your stomach too weak? Weak stomach. How can you handle eating soft rice? A Chinese idiom for living off a woman. Puffed. Victoria, sitting at the head of the table, nearly sprayed her red wine. She quickly covered her mouth with a napkin, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Julian's face went from white to beet red. He took a deep breath, forcing a subject change. Victoria, I recently learned a Chopin nocturne. Shall I play it for you? He wanted a talent showdown. Victoria didn't say no. Julian walked to the expensive Steinway in the living room. Melodious piano music filled the air. I had to admit he had skills. When he finished, he looked at me smugly. Jason, do you play? I swaggered over, bumping him off the bench. A little. I sat down, placing 10 fingers on the keys. I commanded the system mentally. System, give me a talent that slaps. Ding. Congratulations, host. Gained skill. Grandmaster bagpipes, simulatable on any instrument. The next second, my fingers flew. What came out of the piano wasn't a beautiful melody. It was a high-pitched, piercing, soul-sending sound of bagpipes. I was playing the ultimate send-off song, Amazing Grace, but the funeral version on steroids. The soul-penetrating tune instantly drowned out the aroma of the steak, filling the villa. Servants paused their cleaning, eyes tearing up as if they could see their long-deceased ancestors waving at them. Julian's face turned a color that defied description. As the song ended, I stood up dashingly and delivered my closing statement to the dumbfounded audience. Art knows no hierarchy. It only matters if it can send you off to the afterlife in style. Victoria looked at me. My profile glowed under the crystal chandelier. Okay, maybe that was just the grease from the hot dogs I hadn't washed off, but I distinctly saw her heart skip a beat. Late that night, I put Leo to sleep and got ready for bed. I chose the nanny's room because it was closest to the kitchen, convenient for midnight snacks. Lying in bed, I told Leo a bedtime story. Once upon a time, there was a wicked, stingy female CEO. She imprisoned a handsome, innocent family man. She only fed him delicacies and forced him to wear silk. It was too much. Just as I was getting into it, the door creaked open. Victoria, wearing a silk robe and crossing her arms, stood quietly in the doorway. She had been listening. Eye contact made the air solidify. Crap, caught bad-mouthing the boss. What exactly are you dissatisfied with? Victoria walked closer, her powerful aura suffocating. She cornered me between the bed and the wall, a classic cabinet. The scent of her robe mixed with her cool fragrance filled my nose. I gulped, my brain racing. The system mission was anti-trope. I couldn't be cowardly. I puffed out my chest, looked her in the eye, and accused. You don't care about the family. You only care about your work. Victoria blinked. I provide you with the best life. Isn't that enough? Can material things replace everything? I raised my voice, emotional. Do you know what color the sun's poop was last time? Do you? Victoria was stunned. What color? Golden yellow, I said firmly. Soft and fluffy, with a healthy, acidic smell. That means his digestion is good. You call yourself a mother, but you don't even know that. I spoke with such conviction, as if she had committed a capital crime. Victoria was left speechless by my twisted logic. It was probably the first time someone pointed at her nose and said she wasn't fit to be a mom. She was silent for a while, a flash of defiance in her eyes. Fine. She spoke. I'm off tomorrow. I'll take care of him for a day. I'll show you whether I care or not. I was gleeful inside. Showtime. The next day, CEO Sterling's parenting challenge began. At dawn, Leo woke up hungry, screaming like an air raid siren. Victoria, in her robe, rushed into the kitchen to make formula, flustered. She read the instructions on the can. 1 scoop, 2 scoops. Her hand shook, dumping half the can on the floor. The baby cried harder. I sat in the dining room with my legs crossed, eating sunflower seeds and watching the show. Ms. Sterling, you grab boiling water, not warm water. Try to cook your son and serve him with dipping sauce. Victoria was sweating. She refilled the water, checked the temp, and finally mixed the milk. Feeding was the next hurdle. She shoved the bottle into Leo's mouth, choking him until his face turned red. I sighed, walked over, and took the baby and bottle from her. I held Leo in an extremely professional posture, tilted him at 45 degrees, and gently placed the nipple in his mouth. Leo stopped crying instantly, gulping it down. Victoria watched, dumbfounded. Before noon, Leo pooped. Victoria took a deep breath, put on rubber gloves like she was handling hazardous materials, and started undoing the diaper. As soon as it opened, a fountain of pee shot straight at her face. She screamed and jumped back, looking a mess. I stepped up, lifted Leo with one hand, grabbed a wipe with the other, cleaned him, and diapered him. Smooth, flowing motion. 30 seconds, tops. Ding. Congratulations, host. Achieved Grandmaster One-Handed Diaper Change Achievement. I held the baby with one hand and tossed ingredients in a wok with the other. For lunch, I used a system-redeemed Manchuhan Imperial Feast Experience card to cook a table full of food. Buddha jumps over the wall, crystal pork. Victoria ate my food, watching my back as I skillfully fed Leo solids, her eyes going misty. She probably saw the halo of a virtuous wife and good mother radiating from me. Just then, Julian arrived again. He claimed to be delivering urgent documents. When he saw this harmonious family of 3, his face turned green with jealousy. I deliberately spoke to Victoria in a voice just loud enough to be heard. Wifey, leave the rough work of childcare and cooking to me from now on. You just be responsible for making money and looking pretty. Julian looked like he swallowed a fly. Surprisingly, Victoria's cheeks flushed a suspicious shade of red. She gave a loan, quiet as a mosquito. Was the iceberg melting? Good times don't last. Big trouble arrived. A stretch Lincoln stopped at the villa. Out stepped a woman dripping in gold and jewels. Victoria's mother. The legendary evil mother-in-law, or for me, the wicked mom-in-law, Eleanor Sterling. Eleanor started with a power move. She looked me up and down, undisguised disgust in her eyes. You're Jason? Before I could answer, she pulled a check from her Hermes bag and slammed it on the table. Here is $5 million. Leave my daughter. A classic CEO novel trope. I didn't refuse, righteously like in the books. I walked over, picked up the check, and counted the zeros 3 times. Confirmed $5 million. Then, I looked up and asked sincerely, ma'am, can I cash this out? Her Venmo works. Cashing a check at the bank requires waiting in line. It's a hassle. Eleanor was baffled by my shameless honesty. She had probably prepared 10,000 insults, but I went completely off script. I pocketed the check and sighed. Ma'am, Looking at the dark circles under your eyes and that puffiness, did you lose a dance battle to the lady next door recently? Eleanor's face changed. I could tell. I slapped my thigh. Let's go. Ma'am, I'll take you to win it back. I'll teach you the trendiest dance on the internet right now, the gritty. I guarantee you'll dominate the country club plaza and become the dancing queen. Eleanor looked skeptical. Julian tried to jump in. Auntie, don't listen to him. He's just a hooligan. What does he know about dancing? I push him aside. Adults are talking. Kids don't interrupt. Go play in the corner. I grab Eleanor's hand and led her to the garden. Come on, follow my rhythm. Left foot, right foot, slide. Eleanor started off stiff, holding her grand airs. But under my infectious coaching, still wearing her Chanel suit, she actually started grooving in the garden. And she got really into it. When Victoria came home from work, she saw a surreal sight. Her usually elegant-to-a-fault mother was dancing like a maniac with her trophy husband, doing some bizarre, jerky moves. Victoria, you're back. Eleanor waved excitedly, sweat on her forehead. Come dance. This. Jason dances really well. Victoria facepalmed. That night, Eleanor stayed for dinner. Her meanness vanished, and she enthusiastically piled food onto my plate. Jason, eat more. You need strength to carry me to victory. She glanced at Julian, who couldn't get a word in. That Julian boy too frail. Like a girl. Useless. Julian lost all face, made an excuse, and fled. I took the chance to seek credit from Victoria. So, I handled your mom. Huge accomplishment, right? I leaned in, whispering, that'll cost extra. Victoria looked at my face, inches from hers. For some reason, she didn't pull away. The villa lights were bright, reflecting in my eyes. Or maybe it was the grease. I saw her heart rate spike. Maybe the atmosphere was too good, or she was drunk on my road charm. She leaned forward slightly. A soft touch flashed across my lips. I froze. She froze. In the air, only the sound of our accelerating heartbeats remained. Was that kiss an accident, or was she catching feelings? The warmth of the kiss lingered, but a crisis quietly arrived. The core project data of the Sterling Group was leaked overnight. Competitors launched a new product first, and the stock price plummeted. Victoria locked herself in the study all night. I held Leo, pacing outside the door. I knew Julian did it, but I had no proof. Victoria, however, never suspected Julian. Desperate, she even called him to the house to discuss countermeasures. At midnight, I pretended to get up to warm milk, but actually went to the kitchen for a snack. Passing the study, I saw the door ajar, faint light from a computer screen spilling out. I peeked in. Julian was sneaking around Victoria's computer. Bingo. Caught in the act. I didn't shout. I quietly backed away, pulled out my phone, and started recording. Then, I cleared my throat and slammed the door open. Julian, what are you doing? Julian was scared out of his wits, nearly falling off the chair. Seeing it was me, he quickly composed himself, his eyes turning vicious. Jason, I advise you to mind your own business. Do you think Victoria really likes you? You're just a toy. Once I destroy the Sterling Group, she'll have no choice but to rely on me. He lowered his voice, face twisted. I nodded, checking the recording interface. Good emotion. But that line, I'm going to destroy the Sterling Group, lacked passion. Wasn't ruthless enough. How about you take a moment and try that take again? Julian realized I was recording. His face went pale, and he lunged at me like a madman to grab the phone. I sidestepped, extending my right foot to execute an ancient but effective technique. The Nutcracker. Julian let out a shriek, clutching his jewels, curling up on the floor in agony. I walked over, used the curtain cords to tie him up like a hog, and dragged him like a dead dog to Victoria's bedroom door. Knock, knock, knock. Wifey, open up. I caught a big rat. Victoria opened the door. Seeing Julian trussed up like a turkey and my grinning face, she was stunned. Faced with the recording, Julian couldn't argue. Victoria called the police, and they took him away. But the company crisis wasn't over. The next day, the Sterling Group held an emergency shareholder meeting. A group of old foxes took turns attacking Victoria, forcing her to resign. Just as she was backed into a corner, the meeting room doors burst open. I walked in, swaggering, holding Leo. Everyone stared in shock. Who are you? Security. Get him out. A balding shareholder shouted. I ignored him, walking straight up to him and pointing at his forehead. You. Forehead dark, scalp reflecting light, hollow expression. You look like someone who cooked the books and is planning to embezzle funds and run. The balding man turned pale. What nonsense are you spouting? I smiled mysteriously. I'm not spouting nonsense. The system. I observed the celestial bodies and calculated it. Actually, I had activated the newly rewarded lie detector, Hustler Edition. I pointed at a chubby shareholder. You, lips purple. You're definitely keeping more than one mistress, and you embezzled public funds to buy her a Maserati. The fat shareholder sweated buckets. I pointed at an old lady. You, eyes misty with peach blossom luck. You're getting real heated with your personal trainer, who's 3 years younger than you, aren't you? The old lady nearly had a heart attack. I spouted nonsense that hit every bullseye. The shareholders were terrified. They looked at me like I was a demon from hell. They thought I had some all-powerful investigation agency behind me. A forced resignation meeting was turned into a gossip exposure session. The crisis was resolved in the most absurd way possible. That night in the study, Victoria looked at me, her eyes a tangled mess of emotions. Jason, how many more surprises do you have that I don't know about? I chuckled, leaning in her ear. That depends on your sincerity. As long as the money is right, I'll smash through any glass ceiling. She laughed. The oppressive atmosphere in the study finally dissipated. But I didn't notice, outside the window, a pair of venomous eyes were watching us. The weekend after the storm settled, I took Leo out for a stroll in his stroller, mostly to see if my hot dog stand was still there. Suddenly, at a quiet intersection, a license-less van screeched to a halt in front of me. The door slid open, and several masked men jumped out. Don't move. The leader looked ferocious. I immediately raised my hands, but kept talking. Bro, keep it down. The kid just fell asleep. I pointed to the stroller. If you wake him up, you're responsible for calming him down, deal? The kidnappers paused, their movements becoming much gentler. I was invited into the van and taken to an abandoned warehouse. The warehouse was piled high with what were obviously counterfeit goods. Kid, someone paid for your life. The leader flashed a knife. I wasn't scared. Instead, I walked around the warehouse like a market researcher. I picked up a pair of Abiba's sneakers, clicking my tongue. Bro, your merchandise. It's weak. I pointed at the mountain of unsold stock. Inventory pressure is high, huh? Cash flow about to break. Being a kidnapper is high risk, low return. Why don't you work with me? Let's do live stream sales. The kidnappers were dumbfounded. Was this hostage's brain wiring faulty? Not giving them time to react, I started a tutorial right there. I picked up a box of near-expired face masks and faced the kidnapper's phone camera, starting my performance. Family. Fam. You see these brothers behind me? Talented individuals, voices like angels. Today I risked my life to get you guys a deal so good it hurts. These authentic vintage edition masks. Original price $9.98. Today in my stream, not $998, not $98, but $9.99. The kidnapper bros are crying tears of blood to ship this to you free. The kidnappers were completely bamboozled by my hustle. Their eyes changed from fierce to worshipful. The leader asked with a trembling voice, brother, can we really sell this stuff? Absolutely. I patted my chest. Trust me. Follow my lead. And by the end of the year, everyone drives a Ferrari. Just as I was painting a bright future for the kidnappers and teaching them how to register accounts, the warehouse door was smashed open with a boom. Dozens of fully armed SWAT team members rushed in. Victoria Sterling, wearing a black trench coat, followed behind them, her face pale with anxiety. Then, everyone witnessed a scene they would never forget. Me, Jason Rivers, a hostage, was leading a group of burly kidnappers in a warm-up exercise in the middle of the warehouse, shouting slogans. Effort. Struggle. As long as the mind doesn't slide, there are always more solutions than problems. Work hard to make money. Strive for a reduced sentence. The silence was deafening. Victoria rushed over and hugged me tight, her body trembling. You scare me to death. Her voice cracked. I felt her genuine fear, and something soft in my heart was touched. I gently patted her back, comforting her. Don't be scared, don't be scared. I'm fine, see. I paused, then pivoted. By the way, I just negotiated a long-term partnership with these brothers to clear their inventory via livestream. What do you think? Can I get half the commission? Victoria jerked her head up, laughing and crying at the same time, her eyes red. She said nothing, just bit my lip hard. It hurt a little, but it was sweet. After the life-and-death kidnapping, Victoria changed completely. The iceberg melted into a volcano. She began officially courting her husband. But I started to hesitate. The system prompts in my brain were like a death knell. Main plot 90% complete. World deviation too high. Host options 1. Complete final plot point and leave this world. 2. Abandon mission, stay in this world, but lose all system assistance. Leave or stay. I looked at Leo crawling on the floor, then remembered Victoria's angry laughing kiss, and my mind was a mess. I started subconsciously distancing myself from Victoria, but she didn't give me the chance. The next day, a fiery red Ferrari was parked at the villa door. Keys were shoved into my hand. A gift. I pushed the keys back. Ms. Sterling, this breaks protocol. We have a contract relationship. The third day, a deed to a luxury suburban villa was placed in front of me. Move in there. Ms. Sterling, the nanny room is fine. It's close to the kitchen. The fourth day, Victoria cornered me. She tore up the so-called trophy husband contract. Contract void. She lifted my chin, her gaze burning. From now on, listen, you stole my ball, son. Are you trying to steal my heart too? Pedestrians pointed at me. I was socially dead. I covered my face and ran home, roaring at Victoria. That is so cheesy. Which ancient CO novel did you copy that line from? Victoria looked innocent. I thought it was romantic. To please me, she even started learning to cook. The result, she almost blew up the kitchen. Looking at the woman covered in flour, looking disheveled but stubbornly trying to make me a meal, my final line of defense began to crumble. Late at night, I asked the system, "Can I stay?" The system was silent for a long time. Suit yourself. Actually, my full name is the shipper system. As long as the OTP, one true pairing, is real, the mission is a success. Me. The next day, Victoria brought out 2 red booklets, but not property deeds, marriage certificates. They had her photo and mine. Jason, this time it's real. She put one in my hand, smiling like a kid who got away with mischief. You can't run. I looked at the photo of myself grinning like an idiot and her, looking cool but with smiling eyes, and finally smiled too. Yeah, can't run. Don't want to run. I decided to come clean. Even though transmigration is ridiculous, I had to tell her I wasn't the Jason she used to know. I prepared a unique candlelight dinner. No wine and steak. Just hot dogs, grilled gluten, and spicy street food. Victoria, in an expensive gown, sat on a folding stool, eating with gusto. Victoria. I gathered my courage. There's something I have to tell you. Actually, my brain might be a bit sick. Sometimes I go crazy. I'm very different from the old me. I looked at her nervously. She put down her hot dog, wiped her mouth with a napkin, and looked at me seriously. What a coincidence, she said. I've been feeling pretty crazy lately too. The two of us. A perfect match. I froze, then laughed out loud. All the anxiety vanished in her words. The mood was perfect. Just as I wanted to deepen our emotional exchange, Leo in my arms went puffed and spit up milk all over me. The romantic atmosphere shattered. I sighed, resigned, and skillfully pulled out a tissue to wipe his mouth and clean myself up. Victoria didn't look disgusted. She hugged my waist gently from behind. Her cheek pressed against my back, her voice soft. Jason, thank you. My body stiffened. Just then Leo, clean again, looked at me and suddenly grinned, slurring out a word. Duh. I froze. Victoria froze. The next second, she was jealous. Why did he call Daddy first? I carried him for 10 months. I turned around smugly, pinching Leo's cheek. That's because I'm the one who ran away with him. Our bond is deeper than yours. Nonsense. I bought the formula. I changed the diapers. I paid the money. I raised a human. We argued like 2 elementary schoolers over who the kid loved more. Looking at her pouting face for the first time, I thought this ice-cold CEO was actually kind of cute. I finally confirmed I wasn't just a passerby in this world. I had a home here. Ties that bound me. My wedding with Victoria was earth-shattering. Not a 5-star hotel. Not on a romantic island. The location. The market where we first met. No romantic roses. Just bouquets of steaming hot dogs on bamboo skewers. The officiant was the reformed kidnapper leader, now my top live streamer. The best man was the tattooed gangster who got peed on, now my bro. Victoria wore a top-tier custom wedding dress, standing offstage, looking adoringly at me leading a group of aunties dancing the gritty on stage. Time to exchange vows. I held the mic, cleared my throat, and looked at her deeply. Ms. Victoria Sterling, whether for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, as long as you let me run my hot dog stand, I will never leave, never run away again. The crowd erupted in laughter. Victoria took the mic, her eyes red. Mr. Jason Rivers, whether you are normal or crazy, reliable or goofy, I'm willing to be crazy with you until the end of time. We exchanged rings. The ring was handmade by me from Sodakin tab, looking cheap. But only Victoria knew that inside the tab, I had embedded one of the world's finest pink diamonds. On the TV, news was breaking. It is reported that Julian Ashcroft, formerly of the Ashcroft Group, has been sentenced to 20 years for commercial fraud and leaking trade secrets. In front of the prison TV, Julian watched our wedding livestream, tears of regret streaming down his face. 1 year later, Victoria handed me a pregnancy test. 2 clear lines. I looked at the lines, my legs going weak, trembling. Is it your turn to run away with the ball this time? Victoria raised an eyebrow, patted my face just like I did back then. Relax. This time, we run together. On the villa's lawn, a family photo was snapped. A domineering yet gentle mom, a crazy but reliable dad, and a cool kid in the middle looking helpless at his parents' childish behavior. The sun was bright. The years were peaceful. It was good. Story complete.